This is the Average Guy Network, and you have found Home Gadget Geeks show number 514, recorded on November 26th, 2021. Here at Home Gadget Geeks, we cover all the favorite tech gadgets that find their way in your home. News, reviews, product updates, and conversation, all for the average tech guy. I'm your host, Jim Collison, broadcasting live from the Average Guy.tv studios here in a beautiful Bellevue, Nebraska. Like, Erin, we have had the best fall on record. Like, it's not a lot of rain, no snow. Well, a little bit of snow, but it went away pretty fast. Today, I think 60. It's 42 out there now. I know those are Fahrenheit, but nice.
Is that warm?
It is 60 in November is pretty great. How are things in your locale?
We also have had a surprisingly mild fall, and we've only had one kind of really light snowfall that's already gone, and it's been mostly above zero temperatures, which for Calgary is kind of unheard of. We usually get at least one big dump of snow before mid-November, and then it never melts away. So I am loving it.
Yeah. Well, hey, it's all good. And, hopefully this won't mean a bad winter. They keep like, it's been a while since we've had a doozy, and I think we're kind of due. It's one of those things like, the snow's been manageable. The cold weather's been manageable. So I don't know. We'll have to see how it goes. You being a little farther north and right on the edge, we call that the Arctic Express. Comes out of the Rockies, shoots straight down at us. I'm hoping for another fantastic global warming winter here.
That would be nice. I don't mind the mild temperatures. I know there's all kinds of other implications, but selfishly, I like it a little on the warm side.
Well, great to have you tonight. Sammy was scheduled, has a Friendsgiving tonight, Thanksgiving here in the United States yesterday. I pinged you on Twitter early in the week, and I just was like, hey, don't be afraid to say no. It's Friday night. And you're like, of course I'll be there. So
you were fully expecting me to say no.
I really was. It was a show. It was. Yeah. They say to people, you should just ask, because the worst that people can say is no. And I'm like, well, I'm just going to ask, Erin. It's Friday night. I know you probably got a billion better things to do than hang out with me on Home Gadget Geeks. And you said yes. I was a little stunned. I'm like, are you sure? Do you realize?
Well, I did have to cancel ballroom dancing and, my one-on-one class with that world famous chef I was thinking about taking. But
man,
I am here with you, and I love your audience, and I love chatting with you tech stuff. So this is actually a very fun way for me to spend a Friday night.
Well, I appreciate it. Appreciate you giving up your Friday for us. My kids have gone crazy over this new Pixel 6 Pro that is out, by the way, right? And I saw you had gotten one and are reviewing it. And like, from the second they announced that thing, all my boys were like, I should say all of them, but my number 2, 3, and 4 were all like, gotta have it. Like, they stayed up till, when it launched. They got it on launch day. They've all been coming in now, right?
That's dedication.
And I know you've got, and they really love this phone. I'm kind of anxious to hear what you have to say about it. Tell me how long you've had it and what you think of it.
I love it. I will say this as someone who generally uses an Apple phone, and I'm sorry, Google, that I'm mixing my drinks here, so to speak, but I generally use the iPhone, and that's only because, for video editing, for using all of the things together, the iPhone is really great for that. But when it comes to just a basic phone and a great phone, Google's phones, for me, blow all the others out of the water. They're beautiful phones. They work really well. They're not buggy. They are really well designed. They're speedy. There's almost nothing I don't like about Google Pixel phones, and have from the very first iteration.
There has been some, not to go right to the negative, but I think Joe put this in chat. There has been, and he's not the only one, I've heard this, some problems with the fingerprint reader on it. Have you experienced that on your device? Because let's just
I
start
have
off with that.
not.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it's a good question. I haven't. I didn't think I'd like the new placement of the fingerprint sensor. The old one was on the back, so it was very convenient. And
Yeah.
maybe I even have one. No. It was very convenient to kind of put your finger on the back of the sensor. And for those of you who can see the video, there was a sensor kind of right on the middle back where your pointer finger would go. So it was very convenient to use that fingerprint sensor. In the newer phones, they've done away with that. And in the Pixel 6 and Pixel 6 Pro, it's actually under the screen. But the placement of it, for me, I really like it. I'm going to, again, for those who are able to watch the video, it's very conveniently located, though not in the awkward way I have to hold my phone so you guys can see it. But it's conveniently located just kind of where your thumb naturally reaches. So, and for me, it works really well. I mean, you do have a little bit of a learning curve where you've sort of got to deliberately place your thumb in the general area and kind of hold it for half a second before it'll open up. But for me, it has been working really well. With that said, I've had some other little wee bugs with the Pixel phone, which was surprising for me because generally the Pixel phones are quite bug-free, like I said. But when I was trying to set up, one of the features of the Pixel phone is what's called, oh my gosh, Material U, which essentially lets you completely customize the look of the phone. So not just the wallpaper or the looks, but you can customize the color of the buttons. You can add widgets. You can change the size. So you can really do a lot more to make the phone your phone. But when I was trying to play with this and trying to get it done, I had this bizarre problem where I would change the background and change the color and change the themes. And then I'd turn the phone off. And when I came back to the phone, it had kind of defaulted back to this basic black dark theme. And I could not get it to work. In the end, I think it was related to what are called the live themes. And these are the ones where the screensaver kind of moves just a little bit in the background, or the clouds will swirl, or if there's a boat, it'll sort of, go through the frame. So once I switched off the live themes, it seemed to go away, and I haven't noticed the problem since. But I was kind of surprised that this phone did seem a little bit buggier with some things than previous Pixel phones. But with that said, I still think it's a phenomenal phone.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about some of those good things here in just a second. Joe clarifies. He says it's an optical sensor, so it works fine as long as my finger is nice and clean. About after half a day of working and dry fingers, it may only work 1 out of 15 times. So it is, that would be a problem, if you're out. I would think maybe even dirty hands of touching it. That sensor may not be sensitive enough. The other thing I've heard is that back, that people just got so used to putting their finger back there and boom, it was
so
hard.
Convenient.
Yeah, it's been hard. Does it have facial? Will it unlock the screen via facial and some of those kinds of things?
Don't think this one does, now that I think about it. I've been so involved in the fingerprint sensor.
I've liked the fact that on the iPhone I can be wearing my watch and it'll unlock it for me when I go to look at it, even if I've got a mask on. And so that's been that came at just the right time. That was probably not a feature that we needed, 2 or 3 years ago.
Right.
But that has been a good feature. I haven't heard my kids complain about it either. So, Joe, again, Joe, not trying to minimize that at all. I'm sure that's a problem. Apparently they released an update for the carrier pixels, but not the ones purchased directly from Google. So it sounds like maybe that can be fixed for some or what have you. But
hopefully, yeah. It's so frustrating to get a phone that's not working as it should.
Yeah.
Especially when you invest a lot in it and you're really hoping for it to be up here and it's not quite there. Yeah.
It is. We have gone into the phones are just ridiculous now from a price perspective. Brian says my wife picked up a Pixel 6 and really likes it overall, but finds it to be a little too big. And I think if you're, she's used to using a smaller phone. If you're coming from a smaller phone to some of these, I go back. Okay, you're showing here. Let me go. Let me put you full screen.
I've got the whoops, wrong way here.
Okay.
The Pixel 6, which is here, and then the Apple iPhone, I think we're calling it the Pro, so it's the bigger model. They're pretty much the same size to
Yeah.
me, but compared to one of the smaller iPhones, yeah, the Pixel is definitely
It's a big phone.
less. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, it's a big phone. Well, and I mean, again, that it competes in that the iPhone Pro space, just kind of the biggest thing you can get. I'm kind of, I think I'm in between that with just kind of the
Hmm.
standard iPhone 12. I just got Sammy a 13. Not that much different than the 12, just to be honest, a little bit better of a camera, but not much.
Hmm.
Her and I both are kind of just we just kind of use our phones,
Yeah.
like we just use them for stuff. But Tim, my son, was over and we had a fire. It was for Thanksgiving we had a fire in the fire pit, and we were all checking out the stars. It got dark at like 4 in the afternoon, and like it does in the winter. And of course he had his Pixel out, and it's beautiful. I mean, it is just
Yeah. It takes
so.
great night shots.
Let's talk. What do you like about it? So I hate to go negative from the very beginning, but let's flip it over. What do you like about it? What kind of things are you finding you like?
The camera is amazing. I mean, Google has always made really outstanding cameras, and even in their earliest phones, their cameras, in my opinion, were way better than anything else on the market, and they've kept that up. In the new Pixel 6 here, they've added a bunch of new I call them photo editing features. Google calls them camera features, but to me, they're not really features of the camera. So they have this feature called Magic Eraser, for example, which lets you wipe out things in a photo that you don't want in the photo. So if you've got power lines in a great photo of your sunset, or you've got, some junk on the floor in a great portrait or a shot of your dog, you can erase it easily. I mean, in previous situations, we all needed Photoshop for that. And we needed to figure out how the hell to use Photoshop before we could do that.
You're right.
And I was never good at Photoshop. And to this day, I still can't figure out most of the settings. Like, it's so not user friendly.
Mm-hmm.
But the new features on the Pixel phone are just they're touch and go. I mean, you just tap on the photo to erase what you want, and it figures out the rest. You don't need to worry about layers and eraser and crazy features. It works really well. So I've tried those out, and I've really been enjoying using them. It's also got a really great zoom lens. I think it's 4 times optical zoom, and then 20 times, I'm going off the top of my head, 20 times digital zoom. So, I mean, you can zoom in and see all kinds of stuff. And the optical zoom gives you a lot clearer in some cases, a lot clearer view on something that's in a distance. Because using that digital zoom can kind of, I don't know the technical term for it. It's basically just blowing up the pixels and kind of expanding them. So it can get really grainy and really ugly really quickly.
For sure.
But that optical zoom goes a long way to giving you a really clear image, which I love.
Yeah, it's the only way to get, I think the only way to get really good zoom is with hardware. Like you just can't, there's, I guess, if you had a gigantic image and to start with and you zoom in on that. But the lenses are so small, it's hard to get that. So anytime you can get a physical lens in there, I think when we started going, I have the 2 lenses on the iPhone, and of course the Pro has 3. And anytime you go that route, I think you're just better off if you're going to be using it as
your primary camera.
Yeah. Yeah. How many pictures? I mean, do you take a lot of pictures? You do that a lot?
I do. I think at last count, I had 55,000 photos on iCloud.
And how many of those are review pictures and that kind of thing versus personal?
There's a lot, but I also take a ton of photos when we travel. I take, photos of when I bake a pie. I take photos of everything, and I like to look at them. I don't print them as much as I probably should, but I do use them. I use them for a lot of things. I'll use them for blogs. I'll use them for articles that I'm doing. So And I just like pictures. I like trying to pretend that I'm a photographer and I can be artsy. So, digital film is cheap and I get to experiment, and I love that.
It's almost too cheap because then
Yeah.
you put all these pictures in the cloud, and then the cloud comes back and says, "Hey, we need more money because you're filling us up."
Which Google is doing to me right now.
I know. They kind of hold you hostage too. They're like,
Yeah.
well, I mean,
I ended up having to upgrade
pictures.
my iCloud finally.
Yeah.
But I try to do a purge 2 or 3 times a year. I'll go back through and kind of delete all the, the 96 different angles of the Pixel phone that I took for my review that I ended up using 3 shots. So I do try and keep it clean, but it's not that easy.
And Google does a nice job of saying, hey, you got some things you took pictures of that you might want to delete, like their screenshots or those kinds of things. And so they do a nice job of that. What about battery life? So this is always, we're getting better at this, but have you had it long enough to kind of know battery life and charging?
Yeah, I don't generally run some of the more detailed battery tests that some other reviewers will do. I just sort of will use the phone as I feel like a normal person would. And you do get all day battery life out of a Pixel phone. And again, this is another feature of the phone that I think Google realized early on people were really frustrated about. With the iPhones, you were kind of just getting, in the early days, you were getting 8 hours, and then the older the phone got, the smaller the battery life got. So I think Google really has done a good job at trying to make sure that you get a lot of battery life. It's about 24 hours, they say. So, everything depends on how much you use your phone and what you're using it for, and, how much the screen wakes up and that kind of stuff. But it's, if I'm using the phone just sort of on light duty, I can easily get a couple of days out of a single charge, which I can generally not do unless it's with a brand new out of the box iPhone. It doesn't even compare.
That is, that's amazing in the sense, though, for me, I'm so used to just plugging my phone in at night. It doesn't I can't imagine a situation where I would need it longer than 24 hours. So I don't really think about it that way. One of the interesting things on this, you got a picture of it, and we'll show it again here. It does reverse charging as well.
Yes.
And okay, I didn't even
reverse chi.
I didn't know this could be a thing. Has this been a thing that I've been missing? Like, are there other phones that do this, or is this
the Samsung phones have done this for, I want to say, at least the last couple of generations of Samsung phones, and I think Samsung may have been the first to do it, though don't quote me on that. Google has more recently adopted this, and I don't think Apple has it at all, as far as I know. But it's convenient. You can pop your headphones, your Google Pixel Buds, if you've got them, on the back of the phone and turn on the charging and, give them enough juice to be able to use them. You can also charge another phone through the back of your phone, which is pretty mind-blowing. If you're out with someone and their phone is dying, you can give them a few more minutes of juice just by putting your phones back to back, which is a super convenient option for a lot of people.
Does it need to be a Pixel or a Google or a Samsung phone to do the reverse charging, or
not generally? It's just, if it's a Qi compatible device, it should work with the reverse wireless charging.
Wow, I didn't even know that was a thing. Like, now I'm not going to be able to stop thinking about that. I'm going to be like,
you're going to have to get some devices that need wireless charging and try it out.
Remember when we used to buy the cases and it had the big battery, the extra battery thing on the back?
Who made those? What was that company's name? Morphe?
I think it was Mophie.
Something?
I think it was Mophie. Yeah, I think you had it right. Yeah, I had one of those, and it would, because I think we were, getting 6 to 8 hours in those days.
Yeah.
Right. You needed a little bit more to
Definitely.
Get it done.
Especially if you were traveling or doing something for work, and yep.
Yeah. So this is now all of a sudden I'm kind of like, hey, wait a minute. I didn't know I could do this reverse charging. So Erin, for me, one of the things I do with phones now is when I buy the phone, I'm buying accessories, or they're not ever going to be bought. Like, it's one of those things. accessories change so fast, and you buy them. I always felt like I bought them 3 months before I changed phones, and then they never worked with the new phones, right? And I was like,
Right.
oh. So I just put a policy in, like, okay, when I buy the phone, I'm going to get just the accessories that I want, and then no buying things in between, right? Well, so I kind of go back and forth on this charging idea. At night, I really just plug it in and set it on my nightstand, and it's just fine. Like, I don't need it. I'm not using it as a
Mhm.
night light or a clock or any of those kind. I don't need any more light, just to be honest, in the room.
Right.
So, and I have an Apple Watch, but I charge that thing down here at my desk. And when I go to bed
Mhm.
at night, I take it off and put it on the charger. I don't want it in the room shining a bright light that's in there. So that's probably why, like, I don't. I mean, I bought the MagSafe case for
Mhm.
this. I don't have a single MagSafe charger for it, which is, it's just pathetic, right? It's just pathetic. Are there other accessories or other things for this that that you've been using or you'd like to use?
Google makes a Pixel stand, which is a Qi wireless charging stand. And I got one a couple of generations back on the phone. And I thought, I guess, but I'm with you. Like, I'm not using the phone. I don't need to see the screen necessarily when it's charging in a stand so that I can touch stuff or use it. But the stand is actually really well designed and it's quite a nice piece. And it'll charge anything that's Qi. I mean, it'll charge my iPhone. It doesn't have to be a Google phone. So I really like it. And they've recently redesigned that stand when I was surfing around and noticed. So I like the stand a lot. I think it's quite handy. It's quite a beautiful device. And their cases, Google's cases, they always seem to hit the nail on the head with the cases for me. They did a couple phones back. They were doing these sort of nice fabric wrapped cases, almost like a knit kind of fabric, if I can describe it that way, and just really comfortable, really durable. And then with the new ones, they've done this sort of plastic, like silicone plastic, that ends up, it does a really good job of cutting the notch on the back of the phone, because
Yeah.
the Pixel phone, because of that optical zoom, there's quite a significant bump out in the back of the phone, probably 5 millimeters, which is maybe a quarter of an inch for my American friends.
Maybe an eighth. Yeah.
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah.
But it's a significant bump out and it
Yeah.
prevents the phone from laying flat. So when you end up putting the case on the Google Pixel phone, it makes it so that the phone is rather flat and streamlined. And that
Yeah.
helps quite a bit, getting it in and out of your pocket and so forth.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I like that for that reason. My son has the Pro. He got the Pixel Pro. And it's big. I mean, it is gigantic. And then he's got a gigantic case on it as well.
Yes.
It's a brick. I mean, it is a big device, but he loves that case. I was like, whoa, that phone is huge. He's like, well, it's mostly case at this point, but it does really kind of hide the bump out. In that, I'll be honest, that bump out does not look good. Like, I think you have
No,
to have
I'm
a case.
surprised.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you really do. And a lot of phones nowadays have a significant bump out. And I'm trying to I just want to check if I can get the case off my older Google phone that I have here
the 12
and
has
see
one.
how big. No, I mean, it's barely a millimeter. It's hardly anything at all.
True.
So
That's true.
the new bump out is rather significant. So, I mean, minimized with the case, but every phone has something, right? If it's not a notch, it's a bump out, it's a camera array, it's, we keep demanding smaller and thinner phones, but we want them to do more and better things. So there's got to be a trade-off somewhere, right?
No, right on. Right on. I've been doing a lot of work with translations lately. I've figured out a way with the podcast. So at work, we do a whole bunch of different podcasts now, and 6 of them are in other languages that I produce. And I've been kind of thinking, like, boy, it would be great if I could listen to these in language without having to hire a translator. Like that's not an ROI I'll ever get back on those. It's expensive, it's
Right.
$150 to $200 an hour to hire a translator to come and do this. That's just not going to work. But I started using, so nobody knows this, but Skype has some, remember the old Skype? It's still around. It's
Yes, it
got
sure
live
is.
translation built into it. And so I can turn on, say you were speaking a French Canadian, right? We could, although I don't think that's one of the ones supported, but let's just say it's French because that one is. And you could be speaking French and it would be then in my ears, there would be a delay and then it would translate it. Does a little bit too fast. Does it? They still need some work on it, but it actually helps me understand it. We've got these translation things on our phone, and I think with this Pixel 6, there was some commitment to live translations. Have you tried that? Does it work? Give me a rundown on live translation.
Oh my gosh. The translation and interpretation features of this phone are mind-blowing. They have sort of a live translation feature, which you can hold the camera up to something and then you'll tap on Google Lens and then there's a translate button. But you can essentially hold it up to any sign or a newspaper and it will give you a translation on screen of exactly what is in the camera frame and what it says. It works amazingly well. It's super accurate. And then there's also an interpretation feature which lets you choose two languages. So if you're traveling somewhere where you legitimately don't speak the language, you can plug in the two languages and then the phone will listen for you to speak. So what it does is you say something in English and then you've chosen Spanish as your output language, for example. You speak into the phone will listen and then it will translate it aloud for the person you're speaking with into Spanish. And then when they reply back in Spanish, it'll translate it for you into English. And I spent a bit of time playing around with this and it works so well. I've been thinking about going, to like Germany or Vienna and, a little nervous that I don't speak the language. I speak Spanish. I don't speak, I can understand French. I don't speak German. I would be very intimidated to go and try and find my way around. I would bring the new Pixel 6 or Pixel 6 Pro just for that interpretation feature alone, because it lets you communicate with someone in real time without having to worry about like, well, hang on, let me figure out what you said and how you spell that. And then I'll type it into something and then maybe I'll get a translation. So the translation and interpretation features on the Pixel 6, as we loosen up all of our travel restrictions and start going places again, this is the phone for the traveler to have with them. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Well, I'm really interested in the concept because it was what sparked. I've been thinking about this for a couple years of finding a way to listen in on these conversations, and Google Translate kind of has a way to do it. You have to keep clicking the listen button, and then it kind of struggled a little bit. Skype nailed it. Well, I listened. I did Portuguese, Chinese, and Spanish. And it actually did Chinese the best, which is crazy because it's really hard. English to Chinese is super hard and back and forth. Portuguese is a derivative of Spanish, or it's pretty close. I really expect the Spanish to be better because it's an easier between English and Spanish is pretty easy for the machine, and not so much. What sparked it was I was on a call last Tuesday that was mixed Portuguese and English speakers. And they had hired somebody to come for the call. And in Zoom, you can turn on the translate feature and tell who's the translator. Then you can choose the language that you're listening in. And the translator is going back and forth. So when someone's speaking Portuguese, that translator is speaking English. When someone's speaking English, the translator is speaking Portuguese. And just like you would imagine at the UN, you're watching someone speak and then their voice dims and you hear this person speaking. And I've never really had that. That's been out of touch for most people. Like that's getting a translator's hard in a lot of cases.
Yeah.
And Erin, it being able to understand, like it all of a sudden I was like, oh, I mean, I think as English speakers, we get kind of used to like everybody speaks English kind of thing,
Right.
and they don't, but so like technologies like this on the phone, right? And I think the iPhone has a version. There's an iPhone Translate app. I need to try it to see how well it works. But I really think that's the future of this kind of medium for us, for you and me both, that you're doing your review and not closed caption
Yeah.
and not the crappy translations that YouTube does. You know
Right.
what? It actually does a pretty good job. Like we're so spoiled. But I think, I mean, for someone from China to be able to come and listen to us right now and have that auto translate for them vocally or in their ears, I think that's the game changer, and I think that's the future. So, as I look at this on the phones, and it's doing a really good job, I'm kind of hoping, okay, maybe some of this technology will make its way into YouTube. They do own YouTube, right? That
Right.
could be better than what we're getting
Yes.
out of YouTube right now. But don't you think, your ability to do a review and then someone to be able to listen to it in another language, don't you think that'd be super valuable?
I think that's amazing. And I think we would, I mean, you think about the communications possibilities that we've opened up just in the last 10 years, but the ability for live translation and to interact with people all over the world in languages we can't even begin to understand is it's really mind-blowing and it's
Yeah.
really cool.
I'd like the experience to be not off of a phone, but off of earbuds. So you would be talking to
Pixel Buds
somebody,
can do that.
put Pixel Buds in or whatever, and then do it between the two, and that way you're not trying to hear it off the phone. You're hearing it,
Right, yeah.
you know.
Although it does make it, I did find that it was kind of, it seemed to work well because like you've established that the phone is here in front of us and this is going to be our translator. So everybody kind of knows to talk, like to wait their turn. Whereas when you're wearing the Pixel Buds and using the live translate feature on those, the other person can't tell what you've heard and when it's finished. Do you know what I mean? So this is almost like having that person there who's adjudicating the conversation for you, so you know when everybody's done speaking and you can move on with the conversation. I mean, a little more stilted, but
Yeah,
at least everybody's on the same page.
yeah, and I think it can only get better. In
Yes.
where it's at today is pretty darn good. Like I can do a podcast in Portuguese because of what they're saying. I mean, I don't know any Portuguese. I don't even know any Spanish, but at least we have a language. We have this Clifton Strengths tool that we talk about, and some of the words are the same, so I can kind of figure out what they're saying. I can hear names and some of those kinds of things, but the ability to really understand it is like now I'm like I think I'm going to be able to understand what they're saying and at least get the gist. I'll miss some of the nuance because we just can't. I don't know if we'll ever be able to get the machine to do nuance, right?
Hmm.
The sarcasm,
Inflection or tone. Yeah.
the
Sarcasm is a good one.
tone, right? Passion, right? Those kinds of things.
Hmm.
Emojis.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd actually maybe if we communicated with more emojis, those are pretty universal. So maybe we could do more of that. So super cool. I'm gonna this is a feature I'm gonna be keeping my eyes on a lot just because it's I think over the next 10 or 15 years it's the future of podcasting
Oh,
from
definitely.
a global standpoint, and super cool. What else on the phone? Other features that were on there that you were looking for or that were surprising to you?
Hmm. No, I think the magic eraser feature was probably my favorite feature.
Mm.
And I mean everything on a Pixel phone works so well. I still love, it's a couple generations in now, but the recorder feature, which will live transcribe, if you're at a lecture or a class or doing an interview with someone, which I do quite frequently. This will transcribe the conversation for you. I used to have conversations and interviews, when I worked in news media. I used to transcribe them by hand, and it would take forever, but this does it as you're speaking and live, and it's extremely accurate. So the Recorder app in Pixel phones is one of my favorite apps. Great for anybody that's got to take notes, great for students, great for journalists, great for podcasters too. What else is there? There's a couple other photo features like motion mode, where you can sort of play with the background and either blur it out or cut it out. What else? Long exposure. There's that color focus feature, which lets you make something in the foreground or keep something in the foreground in its color, and then it blurs out kind of the background and makes it more black and white or monochromatic. I don't love that feature as much. I think it was overused probably about 10 years ago, and now it looks a little dated, but you can sort of do it easily with a tap now. And then, Gmail and all the other fun stuff that comes with a Pixel phone it all works really well.
In your review, you mentioned calling assistant or assistants.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, there's a few things. So calling assistants, there's sort of a few things under that calling assistants banner. One of them is supposed to be wait times, which when you dial in the number to your Pixel phone, it's supposed to pop up this timeline, I guess, of best times to call. So the example they provided is, call the IRS and see what happens. So I tried calling the IRS and nothing popped up for me. And I tried calling a Canadian airline and nothing popped up for me. So I don't know whether that's some problem with my smartphone carrier, my cellular carrier up here, or it's just not quite Canada ready, but I couldn't get the wait times feature to work for me. That's another one of those bugs I was talking about earlier, where some of the features just aren't quite ready for prime time. But if any of my American friends have had experience with this and it's working for them, I'd love to hear about it. They also added some safety features. Google Pixel phones have been able to, in America anyway, to detect car crashes and call for help in emergencies. But they've recently added a kind of a neat feature where you can set your phone if you're walking or jogging or going somewhere. There's also other kinds of implications for this. The opioid epidemic, not to sort of turn this to a bit of a grim turn, but if you're using something and you need to alert someone if something goes wrong, this is one of those features where you can set this up and then you can tell the phone sort of how much time to give you and what to do if you don't respond within a certain time. Maybe you're going somewhere to meet someone that you probably shouldn't be meeting if you've got to set your phone to call for help potentially if you don't trigger it. But it's kind of a neat feature. I mean, we've up here in Canada, there's some organizations that are using a similar feature for opioid addicts, where you set this app on your phone and it'll call for help if you don't respond. So if you've potentially overdosed on something, you can get help, though you won't be able to call for it yourself. So there's all kinds of really cool implications for that. And I really like the fact that Google is taking that personal safety aspect so seriously.
I think they showed this off a couple years ago, and it would, it would schedule an appointment for you. So you could say, "Hey, I need this at the doctor's office," and it would call, and it would actually tell them, "Hey, I've never really listen, I don't even trust a human assistant to take on my calendar." It worked several times. They've been in hey, you could use an assistant, and I'm like, right. I've got my calendar. It's just fine. Yeah. I'm good. I have enough trouble managing myself. I don't need to manage somebody else in the process.
Yes.
Right? So,
they've got those telemarketer features too, though, on the Pixel phone, where if you have a call coming in that you don't know who it's for, you can sort of let the Google Assistant manage the call for you. And if it does turn out to be your dentist's office, you can accept the call. And if it's just somebody who's telemarketing you,
that would be helpful.
The Google Assistant will give them the brush off for you.
I'm sure that's available. I should probably dig in a little bit on the iPhone. I'm sure that's available. It's just easy to hit on my watch, hang up. And
Decline.
decline, hang up, hang up, hang up, hang up. That has been, I'll be honest, the having the phone on the watch has been way more helpful than I thought. I was out working in the yard today, left the phone in the house on purpose. I was really waiting for a call from my chiropractor. I was hoping to get an appointment tomorrow. I've had a pinched nerve in my neck since Wednesday night.
Ooh.
And yeah, there's nothing like going through Thanksgiving. You're not getting into anybody on Thanksgiving. It just doesn't happen.
No,
So
that's true.
I was hoping he was going to be open on Friday. But that would have been one of those situations where I would have missed his call. And I was outside and my watch buzzed. And to be able to take the call on the watch. And here's the amazing thing. It's a normal phone call. Like, it's not one of these, they can't hear you, you can't hear them. The Apple Watch phone experience is really, really good.
It's good. It is good.
Yeah.
It sounds good, and it doesn't sound like you're talking into your shoe or whatever. What was that movie where they had the shoe phone and the watch phone?
Exactly. Yeah, Get Smart was, I think he had
Get Smart.
He had it in his shoe. But you don't have to hold it up to your ear to listen to it. You can turn it up with the dial that's on
the
it.
digital crown.
Yeah. Have you monkeyed with that with any of the other watches, of taking calls on the other watches? And is it as good on some of the other ones?
I have not. I tried a couple of the Samsung watches with Samsung phones and iPhones a few years back and haven't really played with any other watches aside from the Apple Watch. I think I have an Apple Watch 5. I'm currently testing the Fitbit Charge 5, so I'm not wearing my Apple Watch. But I do like the Apple Watch for, again, to pull back what we were saying earlier, for the seamless ability to just connect to things. You get those alerts, you get those messages. The phone is easy to answer and hang up, and you don't have to try and figure out, like, did I hang up or am I still on? I don't know. So,
yeah.
I mean, it works. Yeah. It works seamlessly with an iPhone, but there's a large section of the population that doesn't have iPhones.
No, right on. Well, I do, and that's all that matters. No, just kidding. It has been, that's a feature that I've used a lot more than I thought I would, on that. And so, even today, it was one of those where I was remote. I didn't want to have my phone on me. With the holiday, I've been really trying to not be on my phone this week, and was doing some yard work and was outside, and my chiropractor called me and he's like, "Hey, is 8:15 going to be okay?" I'm like, "Yes." Can it be 8:15 tonight? Oh, my neck is really jacked up, but it was handy to have that available. So, what version of the Pixel did you have before this?
I think I've had all of them.
So you had the 5 before.
I have the 5. I had
night and day difference.
I had a chance to try all of them.
Night and day difference between 5 and 6, or just kind of an upgrade?
No, it's kind of a small upgrade. I mean, some of those features are fun to have, but I mean, a lot of companies, Google included, will roll out some of them in firmware updates to older phones anyway when they can. Right. You're not going to suddenly get 4 times optical zoom on a phone that didn't have that lens in the first place, but it's easy enough to add some of those photo editing features. So I think if you already had a Pixel 5, you probably don't need to upgrade. But I also feel that way about, the iPhone 10 or the 12. You're probably fine. Yeah. There's a few cool features, but if you're 2 years out or 2 generations out of your phone, it's a worthy upgrade. And I mean, they always, the new chips, I think Google's new chip is called the Tensor. First made by Google Chip, if I'm remembering correctly. Okay. And it's going to give you a little more speed. Now, are you going to notice that speed? I don't. But I mean, we're talking fractions of seconds here. So, are you going to sit there with a stopwatch and figure out how much faster your email is loading? No, probably not. But it gives you that overall feeling of, man, this phone is better. It's faster. It's improved. Yeah. I like it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, my boys jumped on it. I think 3 of the 4 have new Pixel 6s in their hands already. I think they were kind of lined up, and I should probably have them on the show too. Like they are gadget nerds. In My Drobo died a couple weeks ago, and I got it working again. And I pinged one of my sons, and I was like, "Hey, do you have an extra hard drive? Mine are all in use, and I want to test this thing." He's like, "Yeah, I've got 4 like 500 gig SSDs or 5. I don't know. You want to use those?" I was like,
Nice.
"Yeah." I was like, "Oh, okay." He's like, "I'm
Maybe
not
just one
using
of
them."
them.
Yeah, I was like, he's not like, "I'm not using them." I'm like, I should probably have him on the show to talk about these things. So if you were going to choose between an iPhone 13 and a Pixel 6, from what you know,
Hmm.
what would you? I know they're
There's
close.
the phone I want, and then
Yeah.
there's the phone I need.
Yeah.
So the phone I want is the Pixel phone.
Okay.
And I wish I could migrate my work, home, and business life to everything Google, but I can't, and I probably won't yet.
Yeah.
So the iPhone works for me with the MacBook Pro, which works with the Apple Watch, which works with the iPad, which works with the cloud, and everything is seamless. I mean, for me, I spend a lot of time shooting video on my iPhone when I'm doing reviews, and dumping all of that footage to the MacBook is just seamless with AirDrop. And I've shot stuff on my Pixel phone and had to, go on and either download it physically to the computer from the Google Cloud, or I mean, there's really not a good way that I've found to just sort of AirDrop or Bluetooth or transfer over the air. You really have to go on, you have to log into your Google account. You've got to physically download stuff to your hard drive, and that's not as seamless for me. It's not as quick. It takes time. And for me, everything I have right now is in the Apple world, and
yeah.
they've got me. And I mean, I what was it? It was probably about 10 years ago I switched from everything Microsoft, and it would have been a BlackBerry at the time.
Yeah.
And decided, like, okay, I'm getting a new computer. And then about a year later, I got the iPhone, and just, as those seamless connections and things started to come and things started to work better together, it just started to make so much more sense. And I think it would be a real challenge for me to go back or to go to an entirely different setup unless somebody can show me it's just as seamless and it's going to work just as well.
Yeah. It's I have a Mac Mini. I have a watch. I think I have 4, the version, and an iPhone 12, and it just all works. It all works really nice together. Yet I have 5 Windows PCs down here, so it's not like I've left, the ecosystem. There's some things that I still do and kind of trust on Windows. So I always say I'm a Mac world surrounded by Microsoft. In a lot of ways.
Yes.
And those two worlds actually live together really, really well. And so it's a little different on Windows. You can connect your Android phone to your Windows. Right. Mac or Apple has not allowed that integration to really happen yet. So there's some areas where, Windows or Microsoft is with, Microsoft plus Android is better. But certainly and
Samsung is working on that too. I know Samsung's ability from computers, and I think I'm not sure if it's still called this. I haven't played with a bunch of Samsung gear in quite a while, but they had this platform called Dex, where you can sort of dock your phone and connect it to your laptop, and it just, kind of like Apple, where you can access all of your files on all of your devices and all your photos on all your devices. It was meant to create that seamless experience again. I never got a chance to put that into practice and try it out to that extent. It was only just sort of coming out as, the last time I got to play with the Samsung phone. But I mean, that's, I think, what if companies want us all to come on board the way Apple has been able to get us all on board. I mean, gosh, we've got the watch, we've got the phone, we've got the fancy headphones, we've got all of it.
Yeah.
The stuff has to work
Yeah.
perfectly together,
work together.
or it's a hassle.
Yeah, no, for sure. Well, like I said, my boys jumped head first into this. They got it on launch day. They waited for it. They got them. They're in their hands. They love them. And I think what's crazy in our house, everybody is Android except my daughter Sammy and I, who are still iPhone. And listen, I'm not going to change at this point. You know, it's like, I'm good. I'm good unless Apple does something crazy.
Right.
But and she was getting ready to jump to the Pixel. She had an old Pixel. By the time she got to change to it, it was already out of support. So I just bought her the 13. I'm like, okay, we get a couple more years here, and you can start making your own phone purchasing decisions. You know, at that point. So it's what we've landed on is Facebook Messenger for communication
for the whole family.
For the whole family, yeah. And
yeah. I was going to ask if it was something like that or WhatsApp, for example.
Yeah, no, we've landed on Messenger. You're not allowed to leave it. I've tried. I get added right back in. It's like, I mean, quickly too. I'm like, are you watching this all the time? My wife, like, you can't leave this, right? You know, she says to me. So we land on Facebook Messenger as a family, kind of the family chat, so to speak. We did create a family Discord group to move to be a little less Facebook specific. You know, every once in a while, Facebook like does something really stupid, and everybody's like, "Can we just leave Facebook?" So I created a Discord channel for just the family, and a few of the kids joined it, and then it kind of died. So I imagine it'll come back at some point, but
yeah,
and we'll go to that. It's mostly cats, like the family chat. Let's just be really, really clear, Mike. We love cats, and they call it the cat.
I'm not sure I knew this about you, Jim.
Yeah.
How come there's never any cats like wandering through the frame?
I won't allow them. They're afraid of me. They're afraid of me. I'm a dog. Listen, I'm a dog guy living in a cat world, and I'd rather have dogs, but my family likes cats. So that's kind of where we've landed to make that ecosystem kind of work across most of the. You know, I think Sarah has a Pixel 4 or 5. 4. I think she's got the 4. Now the kids have the 6s. So that seems to be the best of both worlds. We just kind of make it work in Messenger and you know, kind of works that way. Great review on your site. I'll put a link to that. We talked about most of it, but I'll put a link to it in the show notes if you want to go out there and take a peek at it. Erin, as we kind of, I'm almost going to say wrap things up. We'll give it a few extra minutes, but it goes fast, doesn't it? Like when we start chatting,
it really does.
Goes fast. You and I, you've talked a lot about this here on Home Gadget Geeks, but we spent a little bit of time, you know, these crazy Echo devices just keep getting, you know, this is funny because years ago I put a 24-inch touchscreen up in my kitchen running Windows.
Oh,
and
nice.
I had a little Kangaroo made a little PC that would run Windows at the time 8 or 10, whatever. And I tried to turn that into a touchscreen kitchen, talk to it. Microsoft never really got it right. Amazon, no definitely not. Too much power. It needed too many things, right? But Amazon, you know, started with these tubes, then entered in with a 3-inch or 4-inch screen, 5 maybe, whatever, and has been 5 and then 8. And now we're looking at a 15.6. These things just keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. This new Echo Show 15, I think the last time you were on, we were talking about an Echo Show 10, right?
Yes, we were.
We were. We've kind of gone beyond the kitchen usage of this, and it goes somewhere else. So talk a little bit about this. You've seen this. Do you have one coming? Are you going to get to review this?
So the thing about these new Echo devices, they're getting larger, and what they're trying to do is really create these family hubs, I guess, to maybe rip off some of Samsung's lingo. But it's meant to be this device that everybody in the family can use. There's recognition when somebody comes into the room, so it can respond appropriately if it sees you come in. There's more recognition, more facial recognition. You can mount these on the wall if you want, and they'll mount either horizontally or vertically. You can put it on the counter. It's almost like, it feels like we're trying to bridge this gap between something the size of a TV and those desktop, countertop screen devices. And I bet it won't be long before either, Alexa or Google are available inside our TVs, and our TVs just become these portals for us when we're not watching stuff on them.
Sorry, I'm not sure about that.
And there you go. She's not sure if that's going to happen. They're always listening to us.
Yes.
But the thing about this device in particular, the Echo Show 15, is they want this to sort of integrate more into your life. So if you have it in the kitchen, it'll teach you how to cook. You can use it as a photo frame. And, then it'll spring to life with reminders or calendar updates about your life. So it really wants to be much more of a digital butler to your home and to your family than ever before. So I'm hoping to get hands-on with this soon. I think it's going to be really cool. I like having digital assistants in my life. I spent a couple of months last winter without one and found myself constantly starting to call for the Google Assistant to give me the weather or tell me the current temperature or to make a note or add something to my grocery list. And I was like, no one is listening to me. And it's funny how quickly they become part of your life and just help you with so many tasks. So yeah. I like having digital assistants around. I think I generally use Google a little more than Alexa, but I've got them all over the house in different situations and different places because I have the privilege of being able to try a bunch of these different devices. I can kind of keep both systems sprinkled around the house and try them both. Siri doesn't cut it for me. Bixby is terrible. That's Samsung's digital assistant. Yeah. Google and Alexa are definitely two of the best, smartest, and most capable digital assistants. And it's neck and neck for them. I mean, I think there was a brief time when Alexa was smarter and then Google kind of caught up and then Google was reigning supreme and then Alexa kind of caught up. And I would say if you're trying to choose a smart home ecosystem and a smart digital assistant, if you don't already have a setup, you would do really well to pick either one. Each one of them has different capabilities, but they're both equally capable. And when I say different capabilities, for example, the Alexa devices integrate really well with Ring home systems, their cameras, their alarms, their lights. So if you've already got something like that, an Alexa system might be a really good choice for you. If you've got, some of the Google Nest system, Google bought Nest a couple of years back. If you've got a Nest smart thermostat or some of their cameras, for example, then you'll probably want to lean more towards the Google Assistant. So kind of depends what you're into and what you're looking for.
Okay, but price-wise for a second. So just as an example, let me bring this back up. So the old Echo Show 5, and you can get these for $30 during Christmas time. It seems like, during you buy a box of cereal and these things are $30 that come along with them, but $60. Then the Echo Show 8 is coming in at $105. The Echo Show 10, which is what we talked about last time you were on, and the Echo Show 15 are both $330. Now, this is American dollars. I mean, you're going to have to take out a second mortgage, Erin, if you're going to actually buy this thing in Canada.
I'm actually surprised that it's that close in price to the 10. And if that's the case, having used the 10, and I still have the 10 in my kitchen right now, that's all you need. So I'm excited to get hands-on with the 15 to see if it really brings so much more. And I can't quite remember off the top of my head, but there might also be individual recognition. So if you've got a family, like it can customize the calendar alerts and the reminders and stuff to individual family members. I think, don't quote me on that. But I mean, it'll be hard to see if it's worth it. But I mean, if it's close enough in price to the 10 and you were already going to spend it on the 10, maybe you just want to go big and go for the 15.
I know. I'm not sure if I can justify a $330 unit in the kitchen. I mean, we use a 5, and Brian is asking, do you happen to know if the calendar on it can import iCal data?
It can.
Okay.
Yes, you can actually set it up. I think both Google and Alexa do that now, but you can use Apple Calendar and some of the Apple features on either device.
I don't know if I want my family knowing my calendar. Like, I have them pretty snowed, today. Like they think I'm busy all day. Yeah, I know I can't drive you anywhere. No, I can't. I'm too busy watching YouTube videos. Well, they don't hear that last part, watching YouTube videos, right? They just hear the I'm too busy. I think I could justify the $100 Echo Show 8 in the kitchen. And listen, we use ours just like you use yours. Timers, add things to the shopping list. I'll go up on Saturdays. One of the cool features on Saturdays, if I'm watching a podcast down here on YouTube, and I want to go up and make lunch, I can just go up there and say, hey, play this on YouTube. It'll open the Safari browser or not Safari.
Yeah.
I would say Amazon's Silk. There it is.
Silk, right.
It'll open the Silk browser and start playing. It actually works really, really well, right? And it starts playing live and I can listen to it there. But that 330, which is $1 million in Canada,
yes,
is that for me, that's a deal breaker. I'm not sure I can justify anywhere in the house a hub.
Yeah. Well, and especially, with a lot of these devices getting at least voice capabilities into TVs. I know a lot of the, oh my gosh, I think like there's Android TVs now where you can talk to Google through your TV. So, is having that extra screen in the kitchen going to be that much more valuable? The thing where it might be helpful is if you're going to watch Amazon Prime TV while you're making dinner. And I love putting on a great cooking show or a TV program while I'm making dinner. So maybe this is the audience they're trying to cater to.
Yeah. Well, you almost had me convinced to buy that show 10 the last time you were on. And I was
I still love it.
I need the 5 to break. Like it's tough for me to go. Well, I get a little better sound. We listen to a lot of music in the kitchen. So that 10 would be nice. I just, you know what? I'm going to set a honey alert for that or a slick deal alert. And if that
Christmas is coming, maybe someone needs a gift idea for Jim.
If that drops below 300, I think maybe, I don't know. I really want to pay $199 for it. Is that
your threshold? It's like $199.
That kind of is.
Yeah.
That kind of is. I mean, $200 in the kitchen is, there's not too many. You get your range and your microwave.
Yeah.
But the appliances that are in there, beyond that, there's not a lot of gadgets in there that are more expensive than that.
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of have to think through, wow. Now, in our case, we listen to a lot of music, so that I would actually go for the show 10 still before I went for the 15, even seeing what it can do. Because we listen to so much music in the kitchen, that really does become kind of the hub. And then what I've started doing too is, so I brew coffee and I use it as a timer. So we perk it. So I say, okay, set a timer for 8 minutes and 30 seconds on high. And that alerts me to watch I wait for the quick perk. And then as soon as it does that, I hit it on low. By the way, a smart range would do that for me. So
True.
No, it would be awesome. Recently I've been trying to then I let it brew for 5 minutes. And I come down here and I start working on my computer, and all of a sudden I hear the alarm going on up there. And I need to learn. I'm trying to teach myself, put the alarm on the studio Echo. So, hey, a lady, set a timer for 5 minutes on the Studio Echo so that it goes off down here, not goes off in the kitchen, and where I can't hear it. So there's still some things to work on kind of with that as well. And again, you almost had me with the Show 10 the last time we were on.
Well, the other thing that's really great about the Show 10 though too, Jim, is it'll follow you around. So I mean, the thing with the 15, if you're mounting it on the wall or putting it on a stand, at some point you're out of frame. And what I love about the 10 is that it's really good about, it can tell where you are and it adjusts its position within that range. So if you're trying to watch TV, you can always see the screen. And if you want to find out, what the temperature is or what the time is, it's watching you to see where you are so that every time you look at it, you can see the screen, which I love.
Yeah. It's better for like talking to people. I mean, so the visual ID component of it that they're promoting on the 15 is coming soon on the 10. So it sounds like there's going to be an upgrade that's going to work. But it's got a 13 megapixel. The 10 has a 13 megapixel auto framing camera, where the 15 is just a 5 megapixel, not auto framing, right? So you get a little bit better if you were going to use it. Even the sound is better on the 10. It's got it's got two 1-inch tweeters and a 3-inch woofer, where the Echo Show 15 just has two 1.6. Yep.
Well, and it's so hard to get good speakers into a flat screen. And that visual ID personalization is, I think, what they call that recognition feature, where it'll recognize who's standing in front of it and update the calendar or the to-do list accordingly.
Well, and I think there is some vocal analysis going on too, because it knows
voice
when
recognition.
Yeah, when it knows when Sarah's asking for some things or when I'm asking for some stuff, or it'll tell me to have a nice day, which is always nice, right? I mean,
have
nobody
a
else.
nice day, Jim.
I'm watching. I'm listening to you. I'm listening to you.
Good morning, Jim. Is that you? Where's your bathrobe?
Exactly. Why do you have pants on? Are you going in today? Yeah, you caught me. You caught me going in. We did use the guard mode one time. You can say I'm leaving. Yeah. Hey, a lady, I'm leaving. And we had a piece of fluorescent light that was kind of rolled out of a spot and broke on the floor, and it alerted us.
Oh wow!
That there was broken glass, and so we came home, and Sarah was concerned for the cat. The cat would step in the glass, right? Because we're a cat family.
It's a reasonable concern.
We're a cat family. That's how it works. So it's that kind of works too. Well, okay. So let's talk real quick before we run out of time. Let's talk a little bit about, because I think these go this is the first time I was looking at your review. This is the first time I've heard of the Amazon Echo Buds. We've looked at the Samsung ones and we've talked about those. We've talked about the Apple versions as well, and Google now. Do you have these? Are they any good?
I do. I got a chance to try them a few weeks ago, and I tried the second generation. It was a long time before they were available in Canada, so I only kind of got onto them with Gen 2. But I was really surprised at how much I liked them. I was surprised at how comfortable they were, at how well designed they were, how good the sound quality was. I wasn't really expecting much, because you can get them. I'm trying to think if this is the Canadian or the US price. I think you can get them for like $70 or so right now.
Okay.
And for that price, I thought, they've got noise cancellation, really good drivers, and they fit really well. And there's Alexa built into them. So you can actually be wearing your buds, and as long as your phone is within reasonable reach, you can call for, another way to call for your digital assistant.
Yeah.
But I quite like them. I was really surprised with how much I liked them, and just how beautifully designed they were, how comfortable they were. And the battery life, I'm trying to remember now off the top of my head. I've been reviewing nothing but headphones lately, so I'm getting my battery life all confused. But as far as I remember, they have a really reasonable battery life as well. And you can also do that related to the noise cancellation feature. You can do ambient mode, or what I think Amazon calls pass through with these, which lets you hear some ambient sound while you're listening to your music or your podcasts or whatever. So
yeah, it's kind of what I like about these earbuds that I use. And actually, earbuds was bought by JBL, and then they shut them down. So I've ended up using the earbud earpiece over the top of the ones I got from Apple.
Yeah.
It actually works. It works.
I know people that do that. It's true.
It works out pretty well because I really love these soft that kind of they fit your ear really, really well. And
really you'd like these then because they've got this just like soft, pebbly. Like I just like fidgeting with the buds or the case. Like it's such a nice material that they use. They feel very high quality.
How did it match up with your iPhone? In other words, is any problems there, or even with the Pixel?
It was fine. You can connect them just essentially through straight up Bluetooth. So it'll work. I mean, most headphones will do that now. You're not maybe going to get some of that seamlessness that you'd get between a pair of Apple headphones and an Apple iPhone. But I mean, once they're connected, you're good. You know, you just tap your Bluetooth menu to connect them, and they worked really well for me. And I quite enjoyed using them. Like I said, I was really surprised at how much I liked them.
$154.99 Canadian for the wired charging, and or $179 for wireless charging.
You don't need the wireless version.
Okay.
No. You don't need the wireless version. The wired version charges up just fine and work just as well. And they're exactly the same headphones aside from that. So
yeah. I've been thinking, I it's crazy is I don't use earbuds very much. So I don't really need them. I will not listen when I'm doing podcasting. It has to be wired.
Yeah.
I will not allow wire. It's just too many things go wrong with that. And then, I've set up my treadmill. I have that 24-inch touchscreen in front of it, and I'm just playing a speaker. Nobody's down there.
Right.
So like, I don't need earbuds for that or headphones for that. I don't go outside anymore. I mean, I do. I do outside. I do, but it's like today I was working and I kind of enjoyed the whole day with nothing. Like I wasn't, it was nice not to have to be listening to something.
Yes.
I could just had my thoughts. Right.
Yeah. I feel that way too.
So I don't know. I go back and forth on wireless. I almost bought when Apple came out with the newest version of theirs. I almost went that. Bose has got some really nice ones.
I've got reviews coming on those.
Really nice.
If not this weekend, early next week. I've got the QC45s, which are the over ears.
Yeah.
And I just did the QC earbuds last week. It's up at techgadgetscanada.com or youtube.com/Erin Lawrence TV reviews there as well. And I'm trying a new brand to me. You might know it. Headphone brand called Edifier. They sent me a couple different pairs of both over-ear and earbud style headphones, which now just rolled out from under my desk. They're slippery, apparently. But I'm trying those out, and I just finished the review of their over-ear headphones, and I'm getting to their earbuds next. So we'll see what Edifier has to offer. These are... The packaging looks great. Like it looks really high end. They seem really well built. So looking forward to getting some more playtime and checking those out.
I bought some really inexpensive, like $30 ones, that worked for a while. And now I'm getting the echo.
Yeah.
So shoot. Okay. So anyways, let's see. Hold on. How do we fix this? Let me mute you for a second. Let's see if it goes away. 1, 2, 3. Okay, it went away. Did you turn it down?
Nope, I didn't touch.
Because it was echoing there for a second, which is
you got a lot of editing to do on this podcast.
I know, and
Sorry,
I normally
Jim.
don't. I normally do 0 on these.
I'm gonna have to get wired headphones for next time.
Nah, don't worry about it. That would that would be nice.
We'll talk.
That would be nice. We'll talk. I'll send some to you. No, I'm sure you've got about 8,000 pairs
I think I do.
that you could work on. Well, Erin, we made it through the whole show. You didn't tell Ed to buy anything. Ed Sullivan will be happy that you didn't, because you told him we didn't get to the robot vacuum cleaners tonight, but last time you said he should buy one, and so he did, and he went with the iRobot. I'm still. Listen, I ran it by the wife and my daughter, and I said, should I get a robot vacuum cleaner? And both of them said no. They're just like, look, small house.
Yep.
If you vacuum twice a month.
Lots of cats, though,
it's
Jim. Fine.
Our cat isn't shedding anymore for whatever reason. I don't know what's going on. He's getting older. So it's just, I don't know. It's been one of those things where I've just been like, I don't know. So Ed bought one, and I'll have to have Ed on to talk
well,
about
I'll start working on my next list for Ed. And maybe next time I come back, we will have to do the robot vacuum spectacular.
Yeah.
We will rank and rate all of the best robot vacuums. We will talk about these other wet, dry, dual purpose vacuums that I've had a chance to try.
Yeah.
Little sweeper vacs.
Are we okay? Real quick question: are we in a spot where the wet dry ones work? They always seemed, the early ones seemed kind of messy.
Yeah.
Are they?
I tried a new one. I won't get too deep into it here, but from a company called Tyneco, which makes wet dry vacs. And my first experience, with something that's not a shop vac, and it worked really well. It'll both vacuum and mop. And it did a really good job. It's got kind of this roller underneath the head of it. So it'll scrub the floor while it's picking everything up. I quite liked it. I've got the review up on the channel if anybody's interested in checking it out. But there are some major advancements. I'm doing a promo for our next episode right now. Yeah. Major advancements in robot vacuum, stick vacuum, mopping technology that I love having a robot vacuum, so I'm a big advocate.
We'll have to have a shootout when we get there. Let's see. Chris says his wife has an HBN dual outlet smart plug, and we use it with our Christmas lights, and now she wants a robot vacuum. So that's coming. That happens.
Do it, Chris. Do it.
Brian says I just got a couple Wise outdoor smart plugs for my outdoor Christmas lights this year. So much better than the old style timers, and I think that is very true. Chris says, we never had the timer lights because we're lazy. I like that.
Programming them was the part that took all the effort, not going in and out.
No, I like that. I almost picked up a wireless Wi-Fi outdoor plug. They're cheap now, $20-$30, whatever. For what did I want? There was something I was going to run on it out there. So anyways, there's so many cool, fun things. Erin, thanks for coming around, filling in for Sammy. I have to let her know she's lost her Friday after Thanksgiving spot permanently.
All right, she can have it back, but I at least want like first dibs if she's
right. Well, you will always get first dibs. You're our favorite. I think we've said that before, and it's always great to have you on, Erin. Thanks for doing that. Can you hang around for just a minute while I close things up here? Okay. Couple reminders on the way out. One, if you want to join us, and there's a lot of conversation in our Discord group. So if you want to head over to theaverageguy.tv/Discord, that'll get you in, and deals. I think right now, kind of deals in home automation are what's hot in that group. So if you want to head over there and join us in the group, some great conversation, and it's always friendly conversation, which like the show is always great if you want to do it. This is the time of the year. Don't just remember, if you've been doing crypto along with us, tax season is coming, and you might want to take that seriously this year, especially in the United States. So just a reminder on that. But if you want to join us in this crypto work that we're doing, Coinbase is the easiest way to do that. If you head out to theaverageguy.tv/Coinbase and make a $100 deposit in a trade, $10 for you, $10 for me, and it works out pretty great. So if you want to get that done, again, use money. This is fun stuff, right, guys? Just I'm not a tax advisor, nor am I an investment advisor, but you should probably get to know some things. You could probably earn, I think now, $40 or $50 by watching some videos on Coinbase. So check it out, theaverageguy.tv/Coinbase. And then don't forget, if you're looking for high-speed hosting, if you're looking to set up a website, WordPress, whatever, let Christian know. He'd love to set that up for you. Plans as little as $10 a month. MapleGrovePartners.com, excuse me, is what gets you there. And we would love to have you on the team there. Of course, Home Gadget Geeks hosted there every single month, and appreciate Christian for all the work that he does there. If you want to leave us a voicemail coming into the holiday season, and we're just beginning the holiday season. Aaron, this is what's great about this time of year. Like, you get kind of warmed up with Halloween, and then it's this serious holidays are coming up, right? Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year. I'm thinking of celebrating Diwali coming up, and whatever else I can throw in there that's going on around.
We'll talk
the world.
Canada Day in the summer.
I know. Boxing Day on the 26th.
Boxing Day, yes.
Why am I not celebrating these things? If you want to leave us a message and maybe to talk about what you're celebrating, that's fine too. HomeGadgetGeeks.com. And there's a little microphone button over in the corner that'll get you done there as well. We are back on regular schedule next week. I think Jay Madison is joining us, but we're live every Thursday, 8 p.m. Central, 9 Eastern, out here at theaverageguy.tv/live. Thanks for staying. If you've listened to the live, thanks for staying all the way through it. Couple thanks out there. Chris says thanks. Brian says great show. And we appreciate you guys staying out. We won't do much of a post show. But for all those live listeners, thanks for coming out tonight. That will say goodbye.